It's time for TWiT episode 245. Today we talk about the iPhone debacle, YouTube's 5th birthday, and a whole lot more with Becky Worley, Natali Delcani, and Shira Lazar. This Week in Tech is next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Audio bandwidth for This Week in Tech is provided by AOL Music and Spinner.com, where you can get free MP3s, exclusive interviews, and more. Video bandwidth for TWiT is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com. This is TWiT, This Week in Tech, episode 245 for April 26th, 2010. No Hitler for you. This Week in Tech is brought to you by Go2 Training. Improve learning, participation, and access to training programs, and save a bunch with Go2 Training. For a free trial, visit gototraining.com. And by Audible.com. To download 2 free audiobooks of your choice, go to audible.com/twit2. And don't forget to follow Audible on Twitter at audible_com. And by the new Carbonite Pro. It's simple, secure, and affordable online backup for your small business. For a free trial and to learn more, visit carbonitepro.com. It's time for TWiT, This Week in Tech, the show that covers all the tech news from the week. And boy, this has been a week, not for really good tech news, but certainly for fascinating tech news. And we've got a great panel here to talk about it, starting off with from CBS. She is a blogger for the CBS Digital. What is your title, Shira? The digital?
They say digital correspondent. I blog and video blog on cbsnews.com. I have a blog called On the Scene, where I track social trends and pop culture.
And she's joining us from Los Angeles.
Yes, Hollywood.
Great to see
Hello, represent.
So representing CBS, now representing ABC from Good Morning America, Ms. Becky Worley. Hello, Becky.
Hello, Leo.
Original producer for the Screensavers and Call for Help, I should add. And,
it does date me.
And lately you've been covering kind of not only tech, but like consumer crap.
ShamWow, baby.
ShamWow. She's the ShamWow queen. In studio with me today, I'm very happy to welcome Miss Natali Delcani, also from CBS via CNET. Hi, Natali.
Hello.
Great to have you
back.
Yeah, and your mom's
I also
here.
brought my sidekick, my mother.
Yeah. Hi, Mom.
Yeah, she'll behave herself over there. She's got a glass of wine. She'll sit quietly.
Is it okay for me to say that you will be a mom soon yourself?
Yes, that's okay. We can talk about that if you want. Not very much.
Not much to say.
There's not much to say. No, I just I've got a baby loading.
And you do?
In either late July or early August, depending. I'm hoping for early or late July, just because this is not very comfortable.
It's hot.
Yeah, it's hot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
That's awesome. Summer birthday parties. You can have them outside.
When were yours born? When were the twins born?
January.
Oh.
you've got the winter
Yeah.
babies.
But we do the half birthday. We have a luau for them in the summer, and then they don't get to have a birthday party in January. So I just
That's what
like
Cammie does. That's cute. I like it.
I haven't really thought that far in advance, actually. I've just sort of thought that I'll have a nice fall maternity leave. That's all I really care about right
Nice.
I forget that they
Vacation.
have birthdays and that they become actual people.
Nah, don't worry about that.
I'm under this illusion that I'll just have this baby and then go back to my life the way it was before.
But let me
That's
speak.
exactly how it works. You know, they're not big bags of need for 2 years or anything like that.
No,
Don't worry.
it's easy. There's nothing. There's no and changing a diaper, the nice thing about that, the learning curve is very, very brief. You pick that up right away. So, but I should say, as a father of a teenager about to go to college, you are saving for college now, aren't you?
Well, I asked Jill Schlesinger from MarketWatch.com what I should be doing, so I've at least asked the right questions.
What did he tell you? Because when I did this research, and I found out I was supposed to be, for the 2 kids, putting $1,000 a month away starting at age 0.
What? I gotta leave. You're scaring me.
$1,000 a month. And what I did is I said, well, screw that. I can't do that. So I'll just make more money later.
Uh-huh. And did it work?
How's
that
that working?
Because now she's going to college.
She's going to college.
And that worked, I guess.
I can pay for it.
Okay, well, that's good.
I can pay for it.
That's good. Yeah, I asked about the New York plan.
What about preschool?
I don't know.
You signed up for preschool yet?
No.
Aren't you
Leo,
supposed to
you're just scaring her.
Yeah, what's going on? Is this becoming this weekend baby?
This is good birth control for Shira.
Yeah, this is why I will be representative of the single, non-childbearing people.
All right, I'm not going to stop. We're going to stop talking about that and start talking about the tech news. And
There's
the
a lot
big,
of estrogen
the
in
big
this
story.
TWiT.
And I have to say that's very interesting because you guys beforehand were talking about iPad because both Natali and Becky had iPads pre-released, right, to show on CBS early show, right? And
Well, Becky had it before I did because she had a taped package that ran with her piece. I watched very studiously. I only had it Thursday before it came out.
so how does
These
that
are
work?
heavy negotiations to get these devices in advance from Apple for the networks, and it's a big deal. And you know, you have to work it out. And so we both got ours on Thursday, and there's a hierarchy of which show gets to go first, and that's all negotiated. So it's kind of silly madness.
It is really silly madness. I had asked them, I had originally planned to have it on Friday, and then they mentioned that we might be able to get it for Thursday's broadcast. And I said, well, can you maybe tell me in what hour the other morning shows are going to have it? So that, because otherwise the control room screams that someone else has it and we didn't have it. So at least I know, and they're kind of like, no.
So
but
that
we'll
you're
bring
saying
it to
they're watching
here.
GMA and they're going, oh my God, GMA's got it, GMA's got it, GMA's got it, quick, go out and get it.
Right. Yeah.
Oh,
and
my
it's
God.
not really my intention to scoop Becky at it.
You
It's
should
more
just
my
call me. I don't care.
It's more my intention to not get screamed at from the
Right.
control room.
They want to scoop
That's-
Becky.
Well, they want to scoop
Yeah.
GMA, right? Or
Yeah.
at least have it in the same.
Well, this is apropos because really what happened this week, the big story of the week, of course, the stolen/lost iPhone. And the big story really is Gizmodo and Engadget trying to scoop one another, isn't it? It's
Among
not
other
because
things.
having that iPhone is not that big a deal. First of all, accepting that it is from Apple, which it apparently is, doesn't mean it's
was
the
100%.
Yeah, it's 100% because Apple said it's ours. We want it back, but there's no guarantee it's the next iPhone. It's a
Yeah.
prototype. You held it, right, Becky? You actually held it.
Yeah, I was the only one who called. I didn't believe them, so I called the Gizmodo guys and said, I want to come down and see it. So I took a crew and I went down to Fremont and found the blogger's house who had it in his possession. And he wouldn't let us film it really closely because they're holding on to it for exactly the reason
Was
you
this
just
Jason
said.
Chen that you
Yes.
were? Yeah.
Yeah, Jason, super nice guy. But they wanted to maintain exclusive control of the video so that they would get the eyeballs at gizmodo.com. But yeah, I held it, and it was, if it was not the final version, I will be shocked because it just seems too late in the game for this to have as much polish as it did. And so I really think it's very close to the real deal.
That's funny that you say polish because when I first saw it, I thought, oh, you know, I don't know
It's
if
got
that looks
visible
very Apple-like.
screws. It's square edges.
Right, but maybe it just doesn't photograph well.
Andy,
It
and
was
not.
the industrialness of it that I felt that was intentional design work. It wasn't like it was kludgy or just
Right.
a rapid prototype. It
Well,
really
instead
felt
of-
like it's trying to be more angular and industrial.
Instead of a rocker, for instance, for volume, it has two buttons.
Two
And
buttons.
They always Apple never comes up with the final thing. They always like make you want more. So even if they're giving us probably a camera right now and a video camera, a better video camera, I feel like there's always going to be more things we want so that they could come out with more, more types of iPhones.
well, more than that,
you
they're
think?
doing the Detroit thing, aren't they? They're saying, oh, this year we're going to do industrial. So that the swoopy doopy design of last year seems outmoded.
Right, and if you look at some of the other phones that are coming out, like the Evo and the HTC Droid, they do look a bit more boxy. They have very sleek lines
It's the
along
new
the
style.
front.
How interesting.
But the new style is to sort of have boxy edges and a sleek front and not really rounded back at all.
And
That's-
the thing
that's
about
the-
Apple is
what's
it's
in.
always a piece of art. That's what makes their pieces. It's not just like a piece of hardware. It's actually something that becomes like a lifestyle accessory.
And Johnny
And that's what
Ive
makes it so special.
is always thinking about, well, what's the trend? What's the new thing? He's a
Right.
designer.
And if you
That
think
was
of
some of the
what
skepticism
Apple had,
early on, was that it was too industrial to be a John Ive production. But I think that this is a departure and an intentional move. I'm also wondering, just from holding it in my hand, it felt less likely to slip out of your hand. I know
Right.
that sounds ridiculous, but with the amount of cracked iPhone screens that we have, that may be a consideration. I don't know.
How about the iPad design? Does it echo the iPad design? Is that part of it? Maybe because the iPad's got some square edges too.
I didn't feel that as much when I held it in my hand because it was I just automatically felt the departure from the existing iPhone. So I didn't feel like it was an iPad complement. I was also just really fixated on the camera on the front. I thought that was so cool.
Now, let's talk about that. A front-facing camera, that's a real departure for Apple. Nokia's done that for years, but you can't call anybody because nobody else has one. So it's like a feature without a user.
Right.
In fact, Tony Wang upstairs has a Nokia phone, and I have an N900. He keeps saying, "Put Fring on it so we can call each other. I want to try this." But Apple single-handedly, just because of the number of adopters, could make front-facing phones be ubiquitous.
Right, and thinking about the fact that they're saying, well, you don't really need it for an iPad because you wouldn't use that for video chat, but you'd use an iPhone for video chat is
I guess you would. So
once again, they're doing that because the next version of the iPad will have that front-facing phone, hopefully. But then that's why now you'll get the iPhone with the front-facing phone. You'll have your iPad. It makes it so there's a separation between the two, so you have a reason to have both of them.
So what's your guess?
I don't think that iterative release of features is just a marketing ploy to get you to buy more. I think it's because they're desperately trying to hit price points that are appropriate now and that they can't put it all into one device at one time.
$499 was a critical thing for the iPad. They had to do $499, right?
Right, and I think that they're also sticking to a production cycle of what is going to not only be released but get news. They don't want us this month to be talking about the iPhone. This month we were supposed to be talking about the 3G iPad.
They've really controlled the news
weeks
cycle.
Away.
Yeah.
And then we were just last week talking about the new Macs, and then the 3G iPhone, and then iPhone 4.0 was in the interim, and then or the software rather, and then the fourth iPhone coming out. So we're not supposed to be talking about this right now.
So
I'm sure
you
Steve
guys,
Jobs is very flummoxed.
You guys completely reject the thought that had been floating around. I had a number of radio stations call me and say, this was an Apple plant, wasn't it? That
I know on firsthand knowledge it was not.
Couldn't have been.
No,
What?
I know because...
How do you know?
Because I have comments that I couldn't put on the air that Steve Jobs personally made phone calls to get it back.
That's now. So okay, somebody asked Nick Denton at Gizmodo, did Jobs call you? And Nick said, if he did, I couldn't say anything about it, which I thought was his way of pretending that he got a call from Steve Jobs.
Probably. He's like the mafioso Steve Jobs.
Or he may have called someone else at Gizmodo.
Okay, there's a scooplet.
Hey.
Okay. Wow.
But I think that the other thing is that there may have also been the mention of the word police, which has happened.
Yeah, there is a task force in Santa Clara Valley, which includes police, forensics experts, and supposedly, although the DA in San Mateo is not commenting, but supposedly this task force is investigating. So that's going to, before we get to that, because I do want to get to the story of stolen versus found and the criminal investigation, but let's just finish our discussion of the hardware, because I think that's of merit. If it has a front-facing camera, it's not for a phone call, it's for iChat, right?
Well, that's my question is, do you think it will be Skype compatible, or this will be the great question of how much Apple is willing to clamp down on apps to promote their own software? Will it only work with iChat?
Huh. Oh, that's an interesting. I hadn't even considered that might be a possibility.
What do you use it with?
You don't think Fring Fring is available on the iPhone? Yeah.
What if you didn't need an app? If you would just call it, it says accept video.
So if AT&T, this is interesting. AT&T says, yeah, we'll support video calls, but you got to be using an iPhone.
Or you have to pay more to receive and have video calls. What about that?
Would you, Shira, would you pay for that?
I would if it was like $3 more a month. How much money? It depends. If it was $5, it might be useful.
Would you like? Here's
and to record it, but I don't know.
Let's say if it doesn't cost anything. I remember in 1965, this is how old I am, 1964, going to the World's Fair in New York City. AT&T, hey man, oh shut up, Worley, you little young whippersnapper. I'll dance on your grave, Worley. So when I was a young man in 1964, I went to the World's Fair, and I remember AT&T had, it was just like in 2001. Remember that, where they made a call on the AT&T picture phone, and they said, by the year 1970, everybody will have a picture phone. And it turned out nobody wanted a picture phone, because when you get up and answer the phone, do you really want a camera?
Right. I mean, we
for
don't even.
conference calls though.
Most people don't even look good in webcams. Like, I mean, you ladies look beautiful, of course, but I think most of the time I answer the picture phone or any kind of video chat, and I'm like, I look like crap.
You don't turn on the auto answer on Skype with the video.
No.
Hell no.
No way.
So,
You know what, though? But here's the difference. I answer video calls all the time looking like crap, and I immediately turn the computer around and point it towards my kids. I would do this all the time with my parents on a video phone.
oh, you think people? No, come on, Shira.
No, we're way too
Wait a
vain
minute.
for that
Shira,
because
come
the whole
on, look
motivation
at Shira
for that
Lazar.
is-
I had a professional, makeup artist.
I think you had somebody come in. Come
I
on.
keep them in my pocket.
I don't think you get up in the morning and the phone rings and you turn on the camera. I don't.
No way. This face doesn't wake up in the morning.
And I think most humans, I'll leave you three out of this, but most humans don't want camera phones.
No, but what about to talk
Well,
to a boyfriend? You're doing a long distance relationships for businesses. If you don't have your laptop
Okay.
on you, but you want to see the person you're having a meeting with, it totally makes sense.
So you're saying Skype has kind of conditioned us to want this now?
Well, we are the
Yeah.
generation that is constantly motivated to share everything about ourselves. So more likely than not, we do want that kind of thing. And my mom and I were just having a conversation when we were driving over here, when we weren't screaming at each other over my driving, about how she's going to go to the Apple store and get a new Mac today. And I want to show her how to use video chat because I'm having a baby
Wouldn't
on
it
the
be
other
fun?
coast.
Yeah.
And my kid won't know
Yeah.
her crazy,
It's great
her
for
crazy
grandmas.
grandmother.
No, that Skype is made for grandmas.
Yeah, it's made for
Yeah.
the parental
Yeah.
relationship.
Yeah.
But again, I stick with the fact that we're all egomaniacs and we want to share as much as possible.
And we don't realize that all the Nokia users have been using this type of stuff in South America and in Europe for years.
Oh, they have. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's
The
not
people that
uncommon
live
to see
in
people do
95s
video.
and everything.
Do they
What?
use it for phone calls or video chat? How are they using it?
Well, the thing is, phone calls become video chat. It's
Right.
just like another an upgrade from your phone call. To talk to someone, you say, "Hey, besides talking, if you're in the mood to talk to them in a bit more of a personal way, can we do video now?" I just think it's just an added extension to your phone calls and your relationships. I don't think we need to overthink it. And it's not like people are just using this for reasons like you to create professional podcasts and do video interviews. People actually use it to connect with people.
And clearly, Apple doesn't do anything accidental. If they're putting a front-facing camera on,
But in no way AT&T is going to put this on their
You don't think
cell
so?
network. I think this is going to be Wi-Fi only because the way that they're getting hammered already for instability, that they're going to put this kind of data load on their network, I don't buy it.
I think
Yeah, I'm
AT&T is
with
in
you.
denial. They're selling AT&T unlimited access on an iPad for $30 a month, and the AT&T guy said, no, when we say unlimited, we don't mean 5 gigabyte unlimited. We mean you could stream movies all day, all night.
Oh.
I think AT&T's in denial about their network. I think that they don't admit that there's a
They
problem.
don't read Consumer Reports, apparently.
Apparently.
Maybe they're just going to blow it out before Verizon swoops in.
Yeah, that's the question. When is Verizon going to come in? Is this with the next phone? Are we going to see Verizon at all? or
Okay,
any other-
conspiracy theory. How about this? Front-facing phone is, well, no, it was a GSM phone. Shoot, never mind.
Yeah, and I actually asked Jason when he did the autopsy on the new iPhone if you could tell from the innards if it was CDMA, and he said he couldn't tell.
They said GSM. Somebody
Yeah.
said GSM. So somebody figured that out when they disassembled it. And,
Interesting. That wasn't Jason because he didn't. He said he couldn't tell.
well, maybe it isn't a GSM. Maybe that was a typo.
Hard to know. I mean, that there's definitely a lot of conspiracy theories afoot, and I know one of the things they've said about this phone story breaking early is that it may hurt sales of the iPhone today because people are now excited too early for the release later this summer of the new iPhone.
And that would lend credence to a criminal or a civil prosecution.
That they've done harm.
There was commercial harm.
And in that case, Gizmodo may be at fault, but I don't think from a criminal statute based on the California laws, because it was a real catch-22 that Apple had to claim the device in order for Gizmodo to be responsible for saying that it was theirs.
Well, let's talk about that in a second. Is there culpability? And even more than that, the journalistic issue of
Well, didn't they pay $10,000?
$5,000.
$5,000.
So hang on. I want to talk about that because I've got three journalists on the line here. Natali Del Conte from CBS and CNET, Shira Lazar from CBS and from Good Morning America and ABC, Becky Worley. Where's the NBC correspondent? I should have gotten Clayton Morris, and then Fox would at least have a.
They're with Kathy Lee and Hoda. We're on the air like 23 hours a day with those gals.
You guys. I'm glad to know competition is still alive and well in the dying media. You guys just fight over the scraps as you go down in flames. It's okay with me. Hey, I do want to talk about Citrix, our great sponsor, and a new product from Citrix. It's very cool for anybody who has to do training online. It's called Go-To Training. Now, if you've ever taken corporate training online and used some of these awful solutions, this is an opportunity to call your training manager and say, there's something better. If you're a trainer, this is an opportunity to try for free Go to Training for 30 days. Of course, it's got as its backbone the really, state-of-the-art, top-of-the-line sharing that is Citrix is famous for with GoToMeeting, GoToMyPC, GoToAssist. But then they've added, that gives you screen sharing. You can pass control from presenter to presenter, so you can have multiple presenters in different locations. Built-in voice over IP. I used to GoToMeeting on the iPad the other day, and they could hear me and I could hear them. It was wild. We didn't have to make a phone call. It was all there in the iPad. Chat built in. This is for the training stuff. Session recording, so you can give the training once, record it, and then make it available for the future. Plus, there are special features like quizzes, polls, up to 200 participants live. You can upload, there's a content library that goes with the training, so you can upload any kind of document or link to any website and make a training curriculum that your trainees can look at ahead of time or after. The completely customizable tests, polling, chat, feedback. I can go on, but I think the best way to do this is to try it. If you head up a training program, test drive it for free at gototraining.com. You don't need a special coupon or anything. Just go to gototraining.com. If you've ever been in a bad training session and you want send a note to the trainer and say, hey, go to training. Or if you're an IT manager, you might want to bring it up at your next meeting. Gototraining.com. Give it a try. I think you'll like it.
I have a question about how you sent audio over the iPad when you used
Isn't that cool?
How did you do that?
It was GoToMeeting, and there's a GoToMeeting app. Mm-hmm. And they were already in the meeting. And I launched the meeting. All of a sudden, I'm hearing them. And there's a mic on the iPad.
Were you sending? Okay, you were.
There's
sending
a mic on the iPad.
audio. Uh-huh.
And so I said, "Oh, I can hear you." And they said, "Yes, we can hear you." And it was like I don't. It was kind of a surprise.
And how is that mic? It's good.
It's great.
I guess.
It's a very good mic. In fact, if you use Drag and Dictate on the iPad, it does a very good job. You can record. It was interesting that they built a mic in. It's right next to the mic port on the iPad is right next to the headphone jack. There's a little hole there.
I have not noticed that.
You could speak right into it. Well, you're using a netbook, I noticed, not an iPad.
This isn't. I have an iPad though, with me.
You all have an iPad? Sure, you have an iPad?
I'm waiting for the 3G.
Me too. I'm not waiting. I've already bought 8. But
You've got a training iPad.
I got an email from Apple saying you can't buy anymore. We're canceling your order.
Now you have to go in disguise.
I have to put a mustache on in order to.
I'll buy one for you, Leo. I'll buy an extra one for you.
Thank you, Shira. It's okay. I'm covered. I got Lisa, our CEO, to do it. She ordered a few more, but I have a total of 8. For contest giveaways, but some for family members. My 80-year-old father-in-law is going to get one. It's going to be great for him.
Did you see there was a video on YouTube of a 90-year-old on an iPad, and she just was like sitting. Oh my God, it was amazing. She just started using it.
Life.
Yeah.
First computer was an iPad. Yeah.
I'm actually using the iPad to keep track of knitting patterns. That's like knit baby blankets. So I'm using it for a really old
What
school
software do
kind
you
of way.
use?
Actually, I just use Notepad, and then I keep track of the
You
rows
like
that I'm in.
XXOOXX.
Wow.
Yeah, knit, purl, all of that kind of stuff. And I'm probably the only person in the universe using the iPad for knitting.
I bet you, though, now somebody's going to write some knitting software.
I wish there was an app for that, actually.
My mom uses, in fact, my mom had to continue to use Windows because she uses a knitting/weaving app that was only Windows.
Really? What is it?
There isn't anything good on the Mac.
No.
And
Someone
the
get on that,
iPad would be
please?
perfect for that.
Yeah, it's great.
It'd be a perfect platform because you could just touch it and tap it twice to
and
be
say,
purl.
yes, I did that row.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow, the estrogen is just seeping out of this podcast.
Wait a minute.
I feel the hormone.
Men
I feel bad.
men
We've already
knit.
lost how many male viewers?
Men knit. What are you talking about?
Oh, yeah, dudes are radical knitters, Leo.
Some
You
men
are
do. We've gotten some emails on Buzz Out Loud.
There are men who knit.
I wonder if this would be the same conversation if Kevin Rose was here.
I bet Kevin Rose knits.
Oh,
Don't you
I
think
will call him and ask him.
Don't you think he's the type? He drinks
He's the type that
tea.
may know how.
Organic thread.
Yeah, he knits his own beer koozies for his 40s.
All right, let's talk about $5,000. Nick Denton, who runs Gawker, has said, and many times he makes no bones about it, he does checkbook journalism. Apparently, and correct me if I'm wrong, but apparently this phone, and we know the Gizmodo story, but we don't really know the provenance of this phone. But the guy who had the phone apparently offered it to Engadget. Engadget took a picture but didn't buy it. Then went to Gizmodo, and Nick Denton said, "I'll give you $5,000 for it."
And now he says he actually didn't make any money off of it because he couldn't sell any new ads. But
BS.
the traffic was insane.
They had, in 1 hour, on the day that this broke, they had 1 million uniques in 1 hour.
That's crazy.
So tell me he didn't make money.
Nick
we have
Denton
to
was
do
on
the obvious and just say that the journalistic ethics are questionable, if not downright sleazy.
He says he talked to his lawyer, who was not a lawyer but a barrister, and a British lawyer, who said, "Oh, you're all right. Go ahead and do it." And then now, if you look at the California statutes, it's very clear. For instance, if I came to you, Natali, and said, "Hey, I got a Rolex. It's only $300. You want it?" and you bought it, you'd be culpable because that's stolen property, even if you didn't know it was stolen. If you made no attempt to find the owner, because it's suspect. It's pretty obvious that Apple isn't offering him this iPhone for $5,000. Somebody else is. It's clearly not legitimately. And even if it's found on a bar stool, and I don't buy the story, by the way, because what's the first thing? Okay, I know that, Natali, you've never been in a bar. But Shira, you've been to a bar.
Oh, yeah, tell me, yeah.
If you found some keys on the floor in a bar, Shira, if you
at brunch, someone left their iPhone on the table, and I had to remind them. And it happens all the time.
But what would you do? Wait a minute. Now listen to me. What would you do if you were at a bar or at a restaurant and you found some keys? What's the first thing you do? Do you take it home and call Apple?
He says he tried to chase down the person who left it.
P.S. You give it to the freaking bartender. The first thing you do is you...
because it looked like a 3G.
First or iPhone, not iPod. I'm mixing up all my eyes. But the iPhone, I mean, probably he was thinking, okay, I'm going to play around with this, take some pictures, do a video, and then find the owner. If you're a journalist, that's a huge scoop.
But he wasn't a journalist. We don't know who this guy was. Clearly, though...
He was an opportunist.
He knew he had a scoop. He knew he had a scoop.
Yeah, he did.
Well, how did he know? Because it looked like an iPhone.
Right,
Okay,
3G.
this was the thing that was most amazing about the whole deal was the custom case.
Did you see the case,
I pulled
too?
the case apart, and it was incredible. So inside the case, it was completely fabricated. A real iPhone, an existing today iPhone, would not fit in this case. It was custom made, and inside it had a scored grid, and then it had a cushioned backing. So the new prototype fit in perfectly, and then the back looked exactly like the existing iPhone. So if anything, my guess, like this is a total guess, is that poor said something to the effect of, well, I test out Apple iPhone.
He said
this is
something.
A total guess. This is a total guess. I have no idea.
He must have.
While under
And
the
then he
influence of
left-
German beer.
Or roofies.
Right.
Or roofies, right?
Roofie, interesting. And then he left it, and then the guy knew.
You know what? You're right. Because otherwise, how would this person know it was something worth anything at all?
Right.
But
That guy-
I do think he knew, because if he didn't, he would have left it with the bartender.
And you don't go through, he had figured out that it belonged to,
He knew
he
who it
went through
belonged
the
to.
Facebook,
He saw the Facebook. Yeah.
application. You know, I once actually was at a party, and it was Julia Allison's birthday, and she showed up at this party and lost her phone, and someone gave it to me and said, let's make phone calls and send this to Gawker or something. I took the phone.
Good for you.
I turned it off.
Good
I
for
went home and
you.
sent her an email. And I think that this speaks to just general etiquette. Like, you find something that doesn't belong to you, you don't play with it. You put it away, give it to someone
or if
who
you
can
do,
get it back.
you call a number in the phone and say, hey, do you know this person whose
Right.
phone this is? Because I just found it. Maybe. I mean,
Yeah.
I would give it to the bartender, but maybe you do that.
But you turn it off. I think,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
first
You
thing
don't
to
mess with
do
it.
is to not mess with it.
So this guy was a software engineer who worked in the photography area of, my understanding is, of Apple, or else he's an amateur photography buff. I can't remember exactly which one. So
I thought he was a QC engineer for the baseband, the radio, but I don't know. That's not clear.
Well, he has some interest in photography. So my other theory is that he was out there testing the flash. What does it look like for bar photos?
Oh.
That's
there
my
were
other
there were
theory.
bar
Did
photos.
that mean that he had to drink too while testing that?
Yeah, right.
It was his
Copious amounts, because then
birthday.
you check the focus.
It was his birthday. It was his birthday.
Oh,
Listen, the guy who took it, that didn't give it to the bartender, is the thief here. And then when he did it after, like, the whole domino effect after that, it's his fault. He should be the one at fault.
Now, here's an interesting little sidebar. Steve Wozniak called Wired Epicenter blog and said, talked about this a little bit, and said, by the way, as far as I know, the guy has not been fired.
I don't think they will fire him.
Well, then Steve told an interesting story. He said, but at midnight, the day the iPad went on sale, I think Steve was we talked to him. I think he was at, what mall was he at, Dane? He was
Valley
at
Fair.
Valley Fair. And there's a picture of Steve holding what is clearly a 3G iPad. So it turns out an engineer from Apple said, hey, Steve.
Thank you.
He's on delay. And he just said, Valley Fair.
Let's all go.
Steve, is that the slogan? Let's
No,
all
I don't
go?
know.
I
But
used to
I'll
hang
go.
out there.
I like Valley Fair.
Yeah, it's a nice mall. There's an Apple store. That's Wozniak's Apple store. The Palo Alto store is Steve Jobs. Anyway, it turned out an engineer who had the 3G iPad, and Woz says, I didn't know it was a 3G, showed it to him and talked about it, and Woz played with it a little bit. He was fired. Woz says, I feel terrible about this. This guy was fired. And he said, probably what happens is HR says, look, I know you're showing Woz. He actually works for Apple, but you violated whatever rule, it can't be done in public or whatever, and we have to fire everybody who does that. So you're fired. So they didn't fire. I'm sorry, I really shouldn't say his name. Can we bleep? We should bleep his name out so that
Let's
It's
call
everywhere on the
him
internet.
John Smith.
this poor guy,
Or
whenever anybody Googles his name for the rest of his life.
I know,
Poor
yeah.
guy.
You're the guy. It's
know,
like being Monica Lewinsky. You just have to change your name, right?
I was watching Gadgets and Games, and one of the theories from one of the panelists this week was, this is the Fox News tech show, was that it will be John Smith, who we're going to call now,
Yes.
who comes out on stage and announces the fourth iPhone.
I've heard that too.
That's
that he
a
should
great
throw
idea.
open the doors of the flagship
Oh,
store.
and one more thing. Let me introduce John Smith. You may remember him from the Broth Scholar in beautiful Redwood City. That's funny. I think that would be a nice thing to do because
he
everybody
likes to
feels
do
for
fun
this
things
guy.
He
like
should be the
that,
new
like when he talks about
spokesperson. It's like
NBC and the breakup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that everybody kind of feels bad for this poor guy. I admit it. I tweeted his name because when that first Gizmodo article came out because I felt so bad. I said, you do not want to be this guy. Then I felt guilty because I did not want to give his name out, and I think we won't on this show. I feel bad that he's all over the internet now.
Now you have to give him an iPad.
Which is more reprehensible? Writing a check for $5,000 for an iPhone that you think is probably stolen? Because, by the way, when they responded to Apple's lawyer, they said, we're so glad to give back this stolen phone. Little Freudian,
yeah.
slip there. Or, after all of this happens, putting a big-ass picture of the guy and his name on the front page of your blog and saying the story. What journalistic justification is there for that?
Oh, there is none.
It's horrible.
You can't make any.
Okay. I'm just going to play devil's advocate here and say it was the story. That is what we know to have happened. And people are fascinated by this story because the cult of Apple has made us want to be inside their secret world. So while, of course, it's mean and I feel terrible for the guy and selling this device and, it's also icky. It makes me want to take a shower. And and I was involved in it, too, in terms of touching it. But it was the news.
After you touch it, you should always take a shower. I'm sorry.
But I'm not surprised. Nick Denton and this blog, it's like the TMZ of tech blogs. So why are we surprised that something like this would go down? This is exactly the way they would.
I feel so bad for this
sort of
guy.
take this Herbert Gans
made
kind
us
of
rabid around
take
this.
on it and say that journalism is for finding out things like
Right.
Woodward and Bernstein. But I don't think you can really take this as a sort of Gansian type. This is not for posterity. The reason, the motivation for publishing this was selfish, and it's something that doesn't
It's link bait.
belong to you.
Page views.
I mean, it's simple, like finders, keepers, losers, weepers is what the jerk kid does
Right.
on the
It's a
playground.
dirty journalistic move. It's a dirty blogger move,
Yeah.
and it happens.
And that's a big distinction. Is this blogging or is this journalism?
Yes, and I think that we're talking about blogging here.
But they would like to say they're journalists.
Do you think that, though?
Yes, of course they want to be journalists. I would consider us journalists.
Well, they share our coffee in the press room, so they should share our ethics as well.
But have they? And I guess that's the bottom line
And
question.
that's
Then we're
not
going to move
fair,
on. But is there? Have they violated journalistic ethics? Maybe they've committed a crime. They're being investigated.
If Becky and I found this, we would have had to take it to CBS or take it to the legal department of our networks, and that would have been the end of it. We wouldn't have been allowed to do anything else. But at the same time, we were happy to discuss it and on our various portals, and we got clicks from that as well. So the question that I'm struggling with is like, okay, that didn't belong to us. Our motivation for talking about it was to continue to be known as the person who knows something about this. But where do we draw the line for like this sort of, again, I don't mean to bring up Gans, but Herbert Gans' idea that journalistic ethics is for the betterment of society and it makes us better people because we can like break into these like
you know what, you do ethics because it's ethical.
Right.
Not because it's the
This is not Watergate.
It's just the right thing to do. Period.
Well, we would never be able to pay for a story, though. But if you think about it, strengthening relationships through taking people out for lunch or going for coffee with people in order to get stories, isn't that almost like the same thing?
I don't do that.
We pay for photos, quote unquote, photos of people involved in stories. So I think the line is blurry all the way around. Was it kind of a dick move on Gawker's part? Yeah. Did it make big news?
That's what we would expect from
and we
them.
all had to cover it then because at that point it was news.
Well, we're stopping. We're done covering it.
Yeah,
Except that I should say one thing, which is the big loser here, Verizon, the Droid Desire, which is about the nicest, or I'm sorry, the Incredible, which is about the nicest phone I've seen in a long time, and an iPhone beater gets no coverage at all because everybody's talking about the stupid iPhone. Have you played? Any of you played with the Incredible yet?
No, I haven't.
It's gorgeous. I haven't played with it.
We're here to prove your point. We were too busy doing the iPhone story.
Yeah. I mean, I use an Nexus One, which I really like, and the Incredible is HTC's kind of like, well, let's make this even better. And Verizon's got it, and it's going to be out this week.
Why do you like it more than the Nexus One?
8-megapixel camera. It's got the same AMOLED screen, which I love on the Nexus One. It's using the HTC Sense UI on top of Android 2.1, but it's got all the features of Android 2.1. It really looks like a phone, the kind of phone that would have gotten a lot of coverage in any other world but Apple's. And Apple owns this, boy. I tell you, they're very good at this. Even in this case, yes, there was some damage to Apple because perhaps people aren't buying iPhones till they find out. Everybody knows it comes out in June anyway. I don't think that changes anything. But they sure were able to bury the story about a big competitor. Not to mention the kin, the Windows kin.
Yeah.
All right,
that always also brings up the fact that even though this might be a story we're talking about later on, but that they might acquire ARM, which they're going to just destruct every single other phone out there.
Yeah, that's an interesting rumor. ARM makes, of course, chips for a lot of phones, and the ARM architecture is what the iPad A4 is based on. Of course, the iPhone uses an ARM chip. Apple has enough cash. They've got $32 billion in the bank.
It would only be 20% of their money to buy ARM, and then, but does that go against antitrust laws? Like,
well, it'd have to be. I presume it'd have to be improved.
Well, and especially isn't ARM UK based?
Right.
So they would have a ton of EU involvement, which does not. They seem to be a little bit more stringent in terms of the
EU hates
issues.
Corporations. They hate them. They hate companies. It's so funny. Somebody was saying, I can't remember, was this on Twig? Somebody said it's so strange because the Europeans who have had crappy governments for generations trust government and hate corporations. In the United States, where we've had a great government but sketch corporations for generations, we love corporations. We hate government. What does that say? What does that say about either of us? I really like this Incredible. I think it's a great phone. I think the Dell phone, which also leaked out this week, another the new Windows mobile platform, very interesting phone.
I got to pitch that as a segment is like, okay, forget the iPhone and let's just look at the other great phones that are out there, especially because people do have that AT&T thing. I'm writing that down right now. So iPhone alternatives, that needs to be done.
It's a good story.
Yeah, that's good.
What about Palm going away? The latest thing is that HTC, which was one of a couple of companies left that might consider buying them, apparently has declined to. I thought they might for the patents, just to help them in their fight against Apple.
Right. That's what I think the buzz was, or that even Apple might consider that.
Right.
But
No,
it appears
nobody
they're
wants it.
Once you look under the hood, it's not that attractive.
Isn't it sad?
It is. I'm nostalgic for my trios already.
I had almost every Palm right up to the Life Drive, the one that had a little 5 megabyte drive in it. And I feel sad about that. But you know what? You can't. This is the juggernaut that is the iPhone.
Yeah.
And it marches on. Did you see?
Hey,
go ahead.
Can we talk Blippy?
Yeah, not yet, but we will get to Blippy. I want to do one more iPhone story, and this is because I have 3 women here. Are women more likely to give their number to a man with an iPhone?
That was the most ridiculous story I heard this week. That's pretty funny. I mean, I could see how it's a sexy, hot, accessory and phone. I think the iPhone is a hot thing.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize. I'm going to get rid of this Nexus 1. Okay. Really? Really? The iPhone is hot?
And
No, it reflects a certain socioeconomic status.
You're rich.
And
Yeah,
you show
I mean, not
different
that
apps,
means you're rich, but it
apps
just
are
means you're not
conversation
poor.
starters. Yeah, apps are conversation starters. So you go, hey, check out this app. Isn't this funny? Like, what? I don't know. And then maybe that creates conversation, which then leads to getting a number.
Yeah, look, I got text from last night. I don't know. What does that say about the iPad? Will the iPad
Oh, yeah,
make you
total chick
friends?
magnet.
Really?
I don't know.
No.
In the library.
But I am the coolest person on the subway when you get on. When you're reading an iPad on the subway, yeah. And then I see someone else with it, and I'm like, I want to be the only one with it.
I actually actively, I don't want people to bug me, so I kind of hide it and I pretend I'm not. I really, it's like, no, I don't have an iPad now. Go away. I don't want. Yeah, I don't want the attention.
You just want to keep all 10 of your fingers.
I just keep wanting playing Godfinger and We Rule.
Wasn't there some guy who lost a part of his finger because somebody ripped the iPad out of his hand?
The tip of his pinky. It was he had an Apple bag, and the Apple bag apparently cinches around your finger if somebody steals it.
No, it's a small price to pay, though, considering that people got killed for the PlayStation 3 when it came out.
Good point.
So I'd rather lose a pinky than my life.
Say again,
I met
Beck?
a guy that did cargo pants for his iPad. He made like custom cargo pants.
Yeah, that's hot.
I suppose.
It wasn't that hot.
That's hot. He's got like a big thing on his thigh. I don't know. I don't think so.
There's a joke there that even I will decline to follow up with.
Me neither. I'm not even going.
If your
there.
dad were here, Becky, I know you'd go for it.
Is that an iPad in your pants? Or
It's
are you
funny.
dressed
What
in
is
it
this? Because
fine?
Becky brings her dad, and Natalie, you bring your mom. What is this? Are you afraid of me? Is that it?
Family show.
Oh, it's a family show.
I brought 2.5 generations.
You did.
So
Blippy. I like Blippy. Do you use Blippy, Shira?
I don't use Blippy. I don't care to share what I'm buying with people really that much. I just tweet it. If I'm buying something and I want to share it, I just tweet it.
Yeah, I think the advantage of Blippy is it's kind of automatic. You hook up your Amazon or your iTunes. You could hook up a credit card to it, and it's kind of like it automatically tweets your purchases. You know who started this? Well, a number of people, but Philip Kaplan, Pud, the guy who did F Company, is one of their kind of advisors. He came in early on this.
I signed up for it just to watch other people, and I thought it interesting what people were renting on Netflix and the iTunes aspect, but tying it to your credit card and having all of your purchases made public, that is so ridiculous and creepy and oversharing, and it really bugs me at every level as a consumer and as a consumer reporter.
Well, I guess I'm just going to stop doing that.
Well, then it also I can see how people would want to share so that if their friends are buying presents for them, they could get a sense of the things they've already been buying.
I think it's fascinating to see what people are buying. Now, the iTunes thing is great because you see what music and apps they're buying. That's neat.
Do you also feel like for a personality, like I saw iJustine just go there, she talks about what she's buying, but could that be a sponsorship deal also?
Well, it's certainly a way for Blippy to make some
I think
money.
that's probably what they were hoping, that there would be something along the lines there. But if you're really, really judicious about the people that you accept within that network, then it has maybe some use value when you're looking for specific types of things.
So you can see what movies I'm watching. You know, you could see what...
I'm sorry, Natali Del Conte is the nicest person, and her purchases must be so upstanding, and I just am not that nice, or... let me just put it to you this way.
Well, you don't have
I
to
don't want y'all to know what I'm buying.
You don't have to put everything on there. You have control over that. I only have one credit card on there. You can say review what the things are and not and uncheck some. If you have a Swedish penis pump, you could say it's not mine, that kind of thing.
Oh,
right?
God. I get worried about these automatic alerts. I'm starting to do them for everything, every program that I use. And then sometimes you're like, I don't want really that automatic alert, but you're not near your computer. You can't get it.
I'm going to defend it because I just think it's kind of like, so here I bought Kick-Ass, the comic, right? And we get these comments and people could talk about it. And I think this is kind of neat. I think there's some value into seeing what people are buying as a recommendation service. And I think that the comments are kind of a great way it's a conversation starter.
I'm starting to research gear that goes along with procreation, and I don't understand how people choose strollers and
so that'd be a good
carriers
example.
and that kind of thing. And I go to Amazon and the top rated, stuff, and I don't know if this crazy person, thinks this stroller is great. Like, I don't know anything about this.
Natalie, just call me.
That's what you do. That's what you do. You call another mom.
Something where, like, if I did buy this one stroller and people would be like, it'll cut your baby's fingers off, then, you know.
What's funny is that because our kids are 18 and 15 now, I know all about strollers from the 90s.
Oh, yeah?
But
That's great advice, Leo.
It changes. It's like...
Dude, that McLaren rocks.
Exactly. We had a McLaren.
What is that?
Do they still have McLarens?
Yeah, they have McLarens. They're okay. They're
It's
like
British.
The station wagon. They're solid.
That's what we had as a
so
McLaren.
Much, we've evolved.
But you don't use a Preca. Those are those are junky. No, what do you like?
The City Mini. You
City
gotta
Mini.
get it, Natalie. It's the best. It is the
Okay.
best.
Is it?
I'm going to hook you up with some serious
I'm
recommendations.
sorry to turn this into baby talk, you guys. I really don't mean to do this. But I just...
Shira's crossing her legs
I'm
right
saying
now.
that this
She's
is
like,
just
I don't
a
want to
use
know.
case.
I'm enjoying. I'm just observing. I have
Okay.
nothing more to say.
Okay.
Should we back into the Blippy credit card exposure?
Well, that's why Blippy's
situation?
that's why Blippy's in the news. And somebody told me one of them was mine, but I don't think that's the case.
It wasn't.
Yeah. So what happened with Blippy is they take the raw feed from your credit card. They are using the same service that Mint uses, which is the same service that a lot of banks use. What is it? I can't remember what the name of it is some silly Web 2.0 whoopie doopie name. But all of the banks use it. So you're not giving your credit card information to Blippy per se. You're giving it to this third party that banks and Mint use. So it's not like you're revealing anything. But the information Blippy was getting back did include credit card numbers and a lot of other raw information. Their automatic system strips it out and then posts this kind of bowdlerized version of what you bought. But apparently Google was caching full information. And if you did a Google search for Blippy, you could get these credit card numbers. But it was only 4 numbers, right, Becky? Is that right?
It was 5, they
5.
say. And I went through all 18 pages because we were going to do it for GMA. And so I started going through all 18 pages and also noticed it was the same 4.
thing,
And then one number was on like a later page. And
they were early
said that it
adopters.
from their beta.
This was from beta, but I was part of the beta, so it made me a little nervous. I came really close to killing my Blippy account. And I think I may still.
Did it make you nervous?
Yeah.
It puts things into question when information like that is released, definitely.
Yeah, that's a pretty big leak.
Yeah, I called PUD on Friday because I wanted comment from them if we were going to run it on Saturday morning. And by the time he returned my call, the information had come out that it wasn't all users' credit cards released.
It was a pretty
just
minor.
4 or 5.
It was
Right.
He was doing a lot of damage control, and at that point when I said, okay, if it's only 4 or 5 people, then we're not going to do the story. And I could hear this feeling of visible exhale of just this incredible relief. And he said, my day, which already sucks, just got less worse.
Well, it could be a death blow. I mean, this is a startup, and that could be the death blow. The truth is, while I thought it was a really good idea, no, everybody has the same reaction you all did, which is, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
So I think it's dead anyway, but...
It's going to be something
don't
like
really
that creates a huge privacy backlash
Right.
from the general public.
Right.
It's funny, though, that we keep trying to figure out the best form of recommending products to our friends and family, and really no one's been successful at it yet.
I think
can we talk
Amazon's
about
pretty
F8
good.
on
Well, you know
that?
what? So, yeah, Facebook. That's the next
All
step
right.
for Facebook.
Next subject is Facebook, and we're going to get to that in just a second. We are going to take a commercial break. I just did want to point out one thing, as long as we're talking about e-commerce. Amazon seems to have thrown in the towel because, they were fighting the iPad tooth and nail. Right on the front page now, free Kindle for iPad. No longer is there a Kindle ad on the front page of Amazon. There's an ad for their iPad
I
app.
think they forgot that they make hardware.
I think they suddenly realized, I bet you the stats came in, and they realized even now, 1 week in, more Kindle books are being read and sold on the iPad than were ever sold on the Kindle. That's how I read my books now. I mean, I'm glad there's a Kindle app because I can read all the Kindle books I've ever bought.
Yeah, me too.
I can still buy books. Amazon still gets the money. They just don't sell a Kindle. What's the big deal? I think it's very interesting that they've kind of changed their front page, and they say, yeah, you might want to get Kindle for iPad. And
not a fight worth fighting.
Right.
Yeah, they shouldn't get in the hardware game.
Who cares?
Let Apple have that.
Right. All right, we want to take a break. Coming back in a little bit with our great guest, Natali Del Conte from Buzz Out Loud on CNET and CBS, of course, from CBS Digital, her digital goddess, Shira Lazar. Great to have you. And from ABC and Good Morning America, my old friend from Tech TV, Becky Worley, who is at Worley on Twitter.
That's right.
At Worley. I'll get all of their... Well, you're Natali Del Conte on Twitter, right?
All one word.
All one word. And Shira, you're Shira on Twitter? What is your...
At Shira Lazar.
Shira Lazar, the full name.
Yes, my full name. I should see who's at Shira. Like, just take it like Madonna.
Yeah, I mean, how many Shiras are there in the world? You probably could. It might be too late now.
Oh, no, there is a Shira. There's a Shira. She has... she's a blogger, freelance writer.
Damn.
Israel.
Oh, she's
And I'm a
Israel.
bit...
Right.
Sorry, I'm a bit updated there.
You know, there's a Leo, and he's got 5 friends. He's only had 5 friends for 3 years.
Oh.
He's got a blocked
Are you one
feed.
of them?
No, because his feed is blocked.
Oh.
But there's a new service which I signed up for that notifies you, because apparently Twitter's killing old accounts that haven't been much used, and there's a service that'll notify you when it becomes free. So I'm hoping I can get Leo.
Oh, what's that?
Now we're all going to spam him.
I'll have to
Give
find
it
it because you might want to reserve Shira.
Yeah, I would love to. You should say that site.
I'll find it. I don't remember what it is, and when I can find it, I will. Maybe somebody in the
Okay.
chat room. Chat room will tell me, because that's probably how I found out about it in the first place. The chat room is my brain. I do want to tell you about Carbonite Pro. Carbonite is a longtime sponsor. It's a great backup solution for end users. Carbonite Pro is their new solution for business. It turned out when Carbonite started talking to users, they found out a lot of their users were businesses who were using the consumer version of Carbonite because it was so simple, so easy, it worked so well. Carbonite, you go and you install it on your system, and immediately it starts backing up those individual personal files like photos, documents, emails, financial documents, encrypted with AES 256-bit encryption to the cloud using SSL, so it's absolutely secure and safe. And then anytime you need to restore, you can restore on any system. Just log into Carbonite in your account and get it back. So Carbonite said, well, maybe we should do a business version, and now they have Carbonite Pro. Carbonite Pro is fantastic. It allows you to Twitter claims. Thank you. Yeah. That's it. It allows you to back up all the desks in your office with one account, one dashboard. You know which ones are backed up, which ones aren't. I like this. If you've ever worked in an office and you've accidentally deleted a file, and you know you have to make the perp walk down the hall to the IT department and beg them to restore it, I hate that. So this way, you can let your users restore their own files. You don't have to, but you can. Every employee has access if you want. You will be notified. Your office will be up and running again with no headaches, no time lost. Look, this is a solution that's been around for some time now. It's really polished, really great. Carbonite Pro. Prices start as low as $10 a month. I'll give you an example. 8 computers, 5 gigs backup, $25 a month. It's really affordable. CarbonitePro.com. Please go there and take a look. It is a great solution. You got to back it up to get it back. Carbonite Pro for small business. We'll do it for you. So TwitterClaims.com is how I was able to say, I want Leo, and she should do that with Shira.
I wonder if there will be some kind of redirect where you can have more than one Twitter ID. Because when you get the URL for, say, Leo Laporte and TWiT and all of that stuff, wouldn't it be interesting to be able to have more than one so that is your complete holistic brand?
Do you guys use something like Hootsuite or something to manage like multiple accounts and things like that, or TweetDeck? I mean, how do you do it, Natali?
Yeah, I use Tweety on mobile, and I use TweetDeck.
Oh, the official Twitter application.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's not called that anymore.
Well, it's the Twitter application.
They're moving it, yeah. And I use TweetDeck because I have a couple of accounts as well.
Becky, do you have multiple Twitters?
I use Twitter later for some things, just because I kind of started on that, and then I use TweetDeck, so.
Yeah.
You know.
The big Facebook developers conference, F8, happened today. Mark Zuckerberg spoke on Wednesday.
I've been calling it Fate.
Fate. I wonder, that must be what they're thinking, right?
Maybe. I don't
and
who
really-
knows what they're
really what
thinking.
they're-
True California
That's really
girl,
the
you see it as
question
a
du
license
jour.
plate.
It's a license plate. That's right. But it is fate because basically it's Facebook's world. We just live in it.
It would appear to be so.
I feel like what they did was a big grab for the internet. They basically said, don't use the internet, use Facebook.
And use
We
Facebook
own it.
behaviors when you're not on Facebook everywhere else.
Right. So
It's like Facebook washing, they're saying it, like a brainwashing of Facebook.
and when Mark Zuckerberg says open, he's not really saying the open net. He's saying open as long as it's going to us. So and you know, I don't think that regular users will get this. But it's because it seems very nice and simple. Well, they're going to put a like button on websites. Anybody can run the Facebook like button on their website. And when you press like, if you're logged into Facebook, it'll automatically go to your news feed and who wouldn't want a little plug on the news feed? And then you can aggregate the likes. You can aggregate the comments back on the original site. What's wrong with that?
Well,
Control.
yeah, I feel like everyone I think should read Molly's rant blog from this week because she talks a lot about how it's opt out, which is intrusive. So everything that you want to like around the web then becomes public unless you do a lot of work actually to make that not the case. So that in and of itself is offensive. It's also exactly what Google was trying to do with Google Friend Connect, but they haven't really been successful.
But Google Friend Connect is opt-in. You have to log in and say, I want to be part of this.
But that's what Google wanted to do. They just haven't been as successful at creating that behavior. Because Google Friend Connect wanted it to be that every website all over the place had a Google login, a Google chat, any kind of Google Buzz. They haven't been able to do that yet. It'll be interesting to see if they can do it with Buzz and make that more ubiquitous, but they haven't been able to. But because we spend so much time in the Facebook ecosystem, we know those behaviors. We know to like something, to comment on something. So that's something that can extend outside of the ecosystem of Facebook.
But ultimately, everything comes back to Facebook so that Facebook gathers information about you, where you visit, what you're doing, all the sites you visit, and then sells it.
It's their way of tracking more and more of what we're doing and having control of our actions and keeping us in the Facebook ecosphere and ecosystem. But you know what, Google, the reason why I think that didn't work is because people look at Google still as search, whereas Facebook will always look at it as our social platform, the way we connect with each other. So you're just adding these layers that make sense in a way, and which makes it an easier extension of what we're doing, even though that's more of their way of controlling us.
Do you think, Leo and Shira and Natalie, tell me what you think. Do you think that for people who are overwhelmed by the internet, do you think that if Facebook's plan proceeds as they envision it, that it would create almost like a gated, safe, this is the part of the internet that makes sense for the people who are sort of overwhelmed by the scary internet? Is there any upside of it in that direction?
Yeah, in the same way that AOL made people feel safe. That was their first interaction with the internet. And this is exactly what Facebook's trying to create, is an AOL-styled Facebook internet.
Where they're not responsible for the content.
Right. Even better.
Well, but do you think on the other hand, people might rebel and say, you know what, I don't feel like logging into Facebook. I just want to navigate things on my own. I don't want anyone telling me that I need to be logged into anywhere. Would people go the other direction at a certain point?
I think
if they feel that control?
I think those people are few and far between. Most people will just kind of follow the mob.
I could tell you right now, the conversation we're having is being held only by a few geeks who even understand what all of this means. The normal world is just saying, oh, that's cool, like button, big deal.
This is exactly like David Pogue's review of the iPad. You know, geeks won't like the fact that you can't control it. They'll love a lot of the hardware, but they won't like the lack of control. And the Gen Pop will think, oh, that's just cool. And they're given everything they need to deal with without the headaches of customization and control.
So there are 400 million people who use Facebook. Of that, 399,990,000 will say, yeah, and 10,000 will go, uh-oh. Unfortunately, we're the people who listen to this show are in that group. You know, and
But were there parts that you like? I mean, I went to Yelp to test it out, and I loved the fact that I could see what my Facebook friends had reviewed. And that was just another layer of exactly what Zuckerberg was talking about in terms of having the web mitigated by people you trust in a more passive way for me, the user. Now, I'm sort of playing devil's advocate here.
everybody wants that. This is the difference. What we don't want is for one company to own that, and for it to only come from one company. So I would like my Facebook friends, my Twitter friends, my Google friends, my anybody else friends, I'd like to know that. I don't want it to just be Facebook, and I don't want Facebook to own and control all that content. So absolutely, what they're providing is a value, but it's a value primarily to Facebook because it is about the Facebook world.
And we saw from that Read Write Read debacle a couple of months ago that most people go to, not most, but a lot of people still go to Google, type in Facebook, and find Facebook that way instead of just putting Facebook in the URL. So that shows that a lot of people are very far removed from the actual process. And that's Dana Boyd's whole point, is that defaults matter, and the fact that this is on by default is what's most offensive about it. And if you could control it a little bit more, had more autonomy, then I wouldn't be so scared of it.
So your complaint is that Facebook is the opiate of the masses.
Yes.
I'm not sure if I made that. Did I make that
I
point?
like that.
Said that,
Very
Natali.
Marxist of you.
That's a great quote.
Yeah.
But I mean, but as a consumer reporter and someone who has to think about what's the easiest for people who just don't want the level of interaction with their with the web that we take because we're geeks, I can see the benefit.
Yeah,
But then
and
again,
because
I'm
the
Catholic,
internet.
so I don't know.
But I agree with you. The internet for many normal users, the masses, is overwhelming. So if your friends can curate that for you, and then also Facebook will recommend things knowing that the other news you're looking at, they'll recommend other stories for you. So for the masses, the regular users, that could be something that makes things easier.
It is, and it's okay. So,
but we're assuming that a lot of people have digital discretion, which they don't. I don't think, that
or even are aware enough to exercise it.
Right.
They're just going to take as you said, the default. The problem is that look, the social graph. This is the term that people use to describe the map of you and your interconnections in the world. Is your social graph. The social graph is very valuable. You know, being able to walk by a restaurant and find out what your friends think of that restaurant is hugely valuable. What is dangerous is for any one company to be the collector and arbiter of that, and that's what Facebook, with its 400 million users, is uniquely positioned to do. They may even the war may be over because they have such dominance that everybody uses it.
And I tend to think, I'm going to get a little bit esoteric here, but I tend to think that I was talking about earlier how there really is no one website that recommends everything that we want, because we are right now culturally developing a learned behavior, which David Levy, who's a professor out of the University of Washington, calls information environmentalism. We're learning how to filter out what's pertinent to us versus what's not pertinent to us. I don't think there's a technology that's going to do that for us, but I think that Facebook thinks that it is going to be that technology. And that's where I find that a little bit dangerous.
Absolutely.
Damn, Natali, that pregnancy has got something going on.
Yeah.
All I do is knit and read. I stay home and knit and read. That's all I do. I don't get out much.
It's a very good point. And so when you go searching for a stroller, it's only a matter of time before you just go,
search for strollers.
I'll look for my...
the gift thing. They'll add. I mean, right now there's causes where you can donate through the site, through Facebook. It will only be a matter of time where you're going to be able to buy products, see what your friends have bought.
This is the dream.
Through a status update, and then click it, and within Facebook, you can buy it.
And this is Mark Zuckerberg's exact dream. He says the next time Natali wants a stroller, she should just log into her Facebook page, and not only will we already know and have an ad for a stroller, but we'll also aggregate all of your friends' decisions. You won't even have to ask. We'll just know.
Right? So where's the agency in that? Where then I don't become smarter. I don't become...
No, but
I don't
Facebook
get to
becomes
practice
richer.
information environmentalism.
According to technologists, they just
one at a time. First Becky and then Shira. Go ahead, Becky.
I think that's the point, though, is that we're just all too busy to be active advocates in all of this. We just need a little bit more, a cleaner feed coming at us that's more relevant information. The overload right now is too much for most people. I mean, the amount of information I'm consuming today versus what I consumed 3 years ago, 5 years ago, off the charts. I'm looking for that stream to get narrower.
Shira. Go
Oh,
ahead.
I was just going to say that's what technology does, make things simpler. And not that that's sometimes better for us because it makes us simpler beings in terms of the way we consume things, but that's just evolution.
But that's the danger, and this is why I really worry, is because while a few of us know and care about the fact that it should be open and should be a large number of companies involved in this, Facebook's going to make it so easy, so convenient, so automatic for 400 million people that it might even be the battle is over.
But now we're moralizing what is better in terms of how we control information or whether or not it's controlled for us.
No, that's not moralizing. To say that no one company should control this information, that's not moralizing. That's absolute truth. You think one company should be in charge of that?
No. I mean, we're moralizing how much we should be in charge of our own information, and we're moralizing how much we should be involved in the process.
Well, we
of
know what's
filtering.
best for those people.
Well, you and I do.
Yes.
I would agree with that.
Yes, we know what's best for you.
Yes.
And you should listen to us, and you shouldn't become Facebook horse. But
Well, I think that it's best not to become, the bewildered herd is what Noam Chomsky calls them. So, but that's
Damn, she
not
did it
saying
again.
what everyone.
Oh my God, what's
oh
going on?
man, I am feeling so dumb right now.
I'm going to stop now.
No, that's great, Natalie. I'm
love it.
impressed. It's wonderful.
So who would be a competitor to this service? Do you think that this is, how does this differ? Would Dig be able to compete? Who?
No, does this
Google.
kill Dig?
No. Well, Dig the question is Dig still alive? Not, is this going to kill Dig? Is Dig still alive? I think Google is the only credible company that could fight this. And Google's trying to do the same thing, but do it with open standards and do it, I believe, in a more collegial way. I think Facebook really is, this is Facebook really saying we want it all. Mm-hmm. We want to own
Google,
it.
still people still
Unabashedly
create their
so.
sites and do Google SEO. So we are creating stuff around Google search, but this definitely closes the game a bit.
Yeah, and you can do this when you have this much power. Fred Wilson talks about this. He's the venture capitalist and blogger who writes at avc.com. He says, clearly Facebook is executing fast and well at a scale few internet companies have ever reached. It's very impressive to watch, but he's talking about his colleague who wrote a blog post who says, Albert, who says, I see at least one flaw with his plan for domination. I simply don't believe that there is a single social graph that makes sense. I may very well follow someone's bookmarks on Delicious that I don't want to have any other relationship with, or take the group of people I feel comfortable sharing my Foursquare check-ins with. These are all people I trust and would enjoy if they showed up right there and then. That group in turn is different from the people I work with on Google Docs or Microsoft Docs connected to Facebook. Trying to shoehorn all of these into a single graph is unlikely to work well. Fred says, I'm with Albert on this issue. I don't think it'll happen, but we are putting our money as a venture firm where our mouths are by backing companies like Twitter, Tumblr, Foursquare, Disqus, GetGlue, and others that are building different social graphs. So maybe the fact is there isn't one social graph to rule them all. We don't even have to worry about it because Facebook couldn't serve everybody. Facebook's where, isn't it true that your Facebook friends are different from your Twitter friends? That's a different graph, isn't it?
Well, they're not mutually exclusive, that's for sure.
They overlap.
Right.
They overlap.
They're a Venn diagram.
Yeah. But they are
because
different.
For Facebook, you need to follow each other to be part of the experience.
But I, for instance, maybe all of you are Facebook friends of mine because I consider you friends in real life, but I may also follow people on Twitter that I wouldn't necessarily consider friends, or I wouldn't ask for baby stroller recommendations from, or I wouldn't necessarily want food recommendations from.
I think it'll become a much clearer line that Facebook is for friends and frolics, and then Twitter is only for more professional or public.
It's for news.
Yeah, it's your news stream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they'll both coexist.
Mm-hmm. I don't think it's a competition anymore. I think Facebook last year was really looking at Twitter as a huge competitor, and I always thought that was the wrong thing.
I think they've left Twitter in the dust.
What?
I think they've left Twitter in the dust, don't you?
Facebook has?
Yeah.
Well, no, Twitter still has its functionality completely. I look at it as a different use. Like you use Twitter.
Do you pipe your tweets into your Facebook page?
I do. I connect the two. And then I have my Facebook fan page
don't
and
we
then
all?
my regular Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
But Facebook
I
is
think that's a mistake because I think that most users, especially of the geeky crowd, they know to separate. And I want to hear about Tom and Eileen's vacation in Hawaii on Facebook, and I want to hear about Tom's streaming of, whatever show he's doing.
Too much
Twitter.
work.
Yeah,
it's a
I
microblog.
like the
It's a newsletter of the person.
But isn't it too much work for? I mean, I agree with you. I think you should post natively. On Buzz. I don't pipe anything into Buzz. I just buzz. But I do pipe my buzz into Twitter. Okay, but I think you should post.
I've never seen that.
I think you should post well, only because it's the same kind of content. But
Yeah.
I think you should post natively in the language of the medium. So, but who has time?
Right.
You're not going to
Too
create
many things to update. We have too many things to update.
And then that begs the question of branding yourself as well, because a lot of times
we're
people
different.
want
We're different.
your personality inside of your brand, even though we are news journalists.
Right, we're different. I think we're probably not normal in any respect, but.
Hey, can I ask a
special.
dumb question?
Yes, please.
I was at the, I was not at South by Southwest. I was at the Home and Houseware show in Chicago.
Which was
and
much more fun, I'm sure.
So
Guys,
you know
I
about
mean,
the
come on,
strollers
I didn't want to brag, but
There's no pressure to drink, at least there, right?
Yeah, really.
when they say drink the Kool-Aid, they really mean Kool-Aid. But, one of the words that I've just heard come out so much from South by Southwest is this, we're curating.
Right.
And I get the concept, but what is the genesis of this word? Why is this such a huge concept now? Can one of the learned, Natali could no doubt throw out some names and really impress me, but can you just give me the synopsis of curate and why it's such a big deal now?
I can tell you something because I'm an old
good.
guy.
Don't put the pressure on me.
Just think of some big names you can drop and I'll be back in a sec. No, I can tell you because I'm an old guy because I've watched this happen. So what happened was when the internet turned on, it turned on a fire hose of information. And immediately it became apparent that there was no differentiation between good and bad, that there was too much to absorb. And it became very clear. In fact, early on in the internet, remember these meta pages? I know you're old enough, Becky, to remember that.
That was Dvorak's game for a while.
Right. Or, if you wanted to know everything there was to know about cricket, you wouldn't go one by one to all the cricket pages. You'd try to find a curated cricket collection of pages. That's what Wikipedia is really a curated link. So what happened very quickly is we realized we can't follow it all, so we need to follow somebody who's curating it. And that's just it's an information management problem. I think we had to do that. And by the way, where's the money on the net? The aggregator and the curator. So that's why at South by Southwest people are interested in that. It's the same. It's kind of Mark Zuckerberg small scale. Mark wants to curate everything known on the net so that you go through Facebook and he can reap all the gold. Really, that's if anybody who's doing curation, that's what they're hoping, that you will go to Buzz Out Loud or CNET or CBS because that's where we will make sense of this flood.
And not only platforms are curators, but people, instead of just being storytellers, are curators too.
Well, that's another kind of curation, isn't it? Making sense of it. That's what a journalist does. A journalist takes the facts, but doesn't just, there's a reporter who reports the facts, but a true journalist takes the facts, reports them, and then makes sense of them. If you don't make sense of it.
And it goes to the source, isn't just a wire service, but actually goes to the source or finds their own angle that is different from the rest.
All we do on this show,
story in a way.
All we do on this show is tell stories. This show, every show I do is a meta show. We don't go out there and hit the field and do the stories. We let you guys do that.
Right.
Then we bring in people who say, well, here are the facts that others have gathered. This is what it means.
Well, Becky, are you sort of knitting your brow at the word curate because it sounds like what big networks try to do, which is bring in information that they decide that we're going to consume?
I guess it was just more the context, sort of the tipping point in the sense of the social media world, because it seems like this word took on a new meaning, and just I've seen it everywhere in the last 4 weeks. It's like if it had a graph of its use in context, it would be on a straight hockey puck scale right now. And I'm just wondering if there was something that tipped it in this context, because I just didn't know where that came from.
Well, we're low on buzzwords. There was semantic web for a while, and then before that it was Web 2.0.
It's a buzzword deficit, I think.
Maybe curate is the next big thing.
To me, Becky, the thing that made me nauseous at South by Southwest is everybody I met was a social media consultant or a social media expert.
We're sick of
that. Means you just
That's
graduated from college.
Right. I know how to use Twitter. And what's sad is there's a gold rush, and I think a lot of these people are making money huckstering big corporations who are going, what is Twitter? And they'll bring in some college kid who says, well, let me tell you, I can show you how to use Twitter.
Well, that was like the whole George Clooney movie, Up in the Air, where the girl comes out of college and says, well, I know how to use video chat.
Right,
so
right.
I'm, the next big thing. And
Right.
then you realize that there's something to be said about age and experience.
That was a great movie.
Actually, I have to say video chat and age and experience are working for me. I ran into an old colleague of ours, a photographer, Mark Newling. Leo, I don't know if you worked with him. And he saw me and he said, Becky, I've seen your Skype live shots on ABC. I was worried for you when you were in the studio and everything was in HD. But now that you're compressed on Skype, your career is going to go like
What a jerk. I have to say, though, and we've been observing this today, and I've watched you on GMA. You doing Skype on GMA. It looks. What did they do? You look lovely. Is it lighting? Do they put real lights in there? Do you have a super huge bandwidth? What is it?
It's completely my own rig, bubble gum and baling wire that I kludged together. And while I do have a Canon GL2,
oh, that's it.
Fire wired in. So
Okay,
great glass,
that's
and I bought it on eBay
it. That's
cheap,
why. Okay.
Because all other problems, but we won't talk about that. I have a desk lamp over here. And the real thing is while I upgraded from DSL to cable modem and that had no impact on the quality of the shot, here's the secret. Look at the colors behind me.
White.
There's two colors.
Right.
White and black.
Right.
And it's not rich. It's not textured. The monochromatic thing going on behind me, which is my kitchen, and I keep it tight so you can't see the children's bottles littered all around me. But I think that because it's so monochromatic, it doesn't compress as much.
Oh, that's
That's
interesting.
at least my theory.
Yeah, because look at my background.
It's a little busy, I'll say.
But I do notice what I do with our guests in studio. I do put red velvet drapes behind them in very simple background.
I have
appreciate
no
that.
art on my walls, and I've lived here for 2 years.
Yeah, you got the same thing going on, Shira.
I'm like a guy the way I live.
Well, let me ask you, do you have a red leather sofa?
No.
Okay, because that's the guy's sofa.
But you should see my fridge.
Empty?
A lot
Condiments
of fruits,
only.
Pickles, and then
Pickles, yeah, pickles.
wine and liquor.
Pickles and condiments. That's the guy fridge.
All right.
See, Shira, if you subscribe to Blippi, I'd already know all this.
That's what we need, refrigerator feed. I got it, the next big thing. We're going to take a break. We are going to compare Audible books and then come back with more news. This is This Week in Tech. We're glad you're here. Of course, Audible is a sponsor, has been with us for, I think, 3 years now. What a great company. I just got the new number, 75,000 books, lectures, performances, radio shows, great audio content. Of course, the books are really why you go there. It's your audio bookstore. And I listen all the time. I'm listening right now. You're gonna laugh. You're gonna mock me when I tell you this, but my wife was listening to this book, and I just love it. She loved it, and she said, you got to listen. Christopher Buckley, who's William F. Buckley's son, he wrote Thank You for Not Smoking and a bunch of other great stuff. Wrote a memoir of his mother and father when they passed away, and I really, really like it. But this is the beauty of it. Because you're listening in the car, in dead times, in the car, at the gym, cleaning house, walking the dog, you can, it's hard to describe, but you feel like you can listen to a broader range of stuff. You have more reading time. You can discover reading again. That's what Francine Hardaway told me. She said, I'd given up on reading, and thanks to Audible, I'm reading again. Audible.com/twit2. That's the URL to go to take a look at audible.com, browse around, find a book you like, and when you go to audible.com/twit2, you'll be signing up for a platinum account. That's 2 books a month, and the first 2 are free. You can cancel at any time. So this is a way to get 2 free books, frankly. Sarah Silverman's new book is out. Do you love Sarah Silverman, or is she too kind of scatological for you?
Oh, no, I like scatological. I can do that.
You're going to like this then. Her new book is called The Bedwetter, Stories of Courage, Redemption, and Pee.
Cute.
I like her.
That's intriguing.
It's hard not to listen. Look at the picture. I mean, she's very heroic.
Yeah.
And it's read by Sarah. But that's just an example. I'm sure that's fairly adult, so keep that in mind. Audible has all the bestsellers, great science fiction collection, wonderful books you're going to love, and I invite you to try 2 on me. Audible.com/twit2. Audible.com/twit2. They play on, of course, the iPad, the iPhone, the iPods, all of them, the Zune, the Kindle. Most GPS devices that play MP3s will also play Audible books. Hundreds of platforms. Audible.com/TWiT. Give them a try. I think you're going to like it. We thank them so much for their support of This Week in Tech.
Can I give you a quick Audible plug?
Yeah, would you?
You know the woman who's 90-something and got the first iPad?
Yeah.
She did it because she needed the magnification on the reader because
Right.
she's got low vision. Well, 1 in 28 Americans over the age of 40 has low vision. So Audible.com, Kindle magnification, iPad magnification is revolutionary.
I agree. My
mom.
mom is 75, and she'd stopped reading. I gave her a Kindle. She made it the biggest text. And she said, I can read. And she says, my eyes don't get tired. And she's reading and reading and reading. I completely agree.
Oh,
That's nice.
Yeah.
Also, I was reading Real Simple magazine this week, and there was a plug in there for podcasters. It was tips to incent you to clean. And this one woman said, I only listen to podcasts while I'm cleaning, and I love them so much. That makes the cleaning go, really fast. So there's your podcasting plug.
That's true for me for audiobooks, actually. And I listen to a lot of podcasts, too. If you listen to podcasts, audiobooks just give you another, kind of dimension you can add. You read Real Simple, really?
Oh, yeah.
look at her house.
It's real. It's simple.
Yeah.
Real simple. And have I told you my new exercise plan?
No.
I only let myself play iPhone games when I'm on the elliptical
Smart.
machine.
Smart.
And so I have been doing like 5 hours a week of elliptical while playing Plants vs. Zombies.
Oh, yeah. See, if you get hooked on Plants vs. Zombies, you'll do anything to play. So if it's just elliptical, no problem.
You can't really play. Oh no, we're talking iPad actually, because I've done some iPad games on the elliptical, and it's very hard with the accelerometer. I've almost fallen off.
Well, you gotta rest it on the thing. Don't you have a music stand or something that you
No,
can put
she's
it on?
got her own stand now. It's getting bigger every week.
No, she puts it on her belly. Well, no wonder you put it on the belly. It's not going to work.
No, you got to put it on the ledge. But
Yeah.
if you're doing something where you're going
Oh,
to
you
try
can't
and
do
tip
that.
it, you can't
No,
do
no.
that on the elliptical. No one's that coordinated.
And
I don't care who you
Godfinger
are.
is very hard when you're going on the elliptical because you're bouncing up and down, and it's very
I
hard.
hope you're watching the video of this because it's fun.
Have you played Godfinger?
No.
It's on my list.
Don't. I play We Rule and Godfinger, which are basically the Farmville of iPad games. We Rule is a farm, and you raise crops and stuff. That's okay because he doesn't take a lot of attention. Godfinger, you're the giant finger that makes it rain, makes the sun shine. You have a planet. You have followers. They worship you. You can pick them up with your finger, drag them to other weird places. You can make it, and it's not good. Don't do yourself a favor.
You'll never get that time back.
It's gone forever. It's gone forever. There are iPad games that are very compelling, though, I have to say. So you got, is it Plants vs. Zombies your number one pick, Becky? Or
That's been a complete time suck. And then Diner Dash, stuff like
That's
that.
fun.
Oh, yeah, Diner Dash.
they have that on the iPad.
I take all recommendations people have for games. Be Worley at Twitter.
Well, be my friend on We Rule, and we can have a farm together.
Okay, we'll.
We know how that goes, you guys.
Do any of you play Farmville?
I'm not
No.
into Farmville. I started doing it. I barely take care of my own plants in person.
Good.
Let
I'm
alone
impressed.
virtually.
I'm very impressed.
No, I'm
You know,
too
I
busy
know
knitting
I
and
know
reading
animals,
social
plants, or
theory.
kids.
Yeah. Did you see? Now, this is going to be a killer app on iPad. Hulu is going to have a Hulu Plus, $10 a month, and I think they're going to have an iPad app. Okay, here's the question: would you pay $10 a month for Hulu?
Yeah,
Easy.
I would.
You watch enough Hulu that makes it worthwhile.
I do. Yeah, but there's two things I want from Hulu. I want the Daily Show back.
It's not there anymore.
It's still not there.
Bastards.
I know, and I don't want to be advertised to if I do have to pay $10.
You're
a
right.
month.
In fact, if they take the ads off, $10 a month, no problem.
Right.
But if I have to watch ads,
Yeah, I mean, I do like Ragu, but, enough already.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
Crest or Colgate or whatever.
they do that on demand too, and it drives me crazy when I watch 30 Rock on demand, and they don't have enough ads, so it's the same ad 3 times. It's very annoying.
Yeah.
Very
And
annoying.
sometimes they don't
complain
even...
about ads.
Yeah.
I like getting paid.
Yeah, no, I'm not complaining.
Right, but this is a different way to get paid directly from our viewers, which I'd be okay with.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, that's a different thing. That's okay.
And
at
it's
least
interesting
there
because
are
Hulu
some
says they made
free-
$100 million, which is
What?
not enough for the networks, and so they've got to create a
Wait a minute. They made $100 million, and it's not enough.
That's little. That's small beans for the networks.
Yeah, this is why I
The way they're
succeed.
usually paid.
Because I'd take a 100th of that and be happy. 100 million, it's not
The
enough.
networks are greedy, counting you have three of the biggest ones owning Hulu.
But that's what happened to Tech TV is that we made, you couldn't make enough money to make it worthwhile because it's so expensive to do a channel.
It's crazy expensive given the production. I mean, what you've excelled at, Leo, is organic growth with minimal production costs.
Thank you. That's a very nice way to put it.
And none of these guys
Dude, I
around
love
here are
radio.
union, right?
No union. No. You know what? I pay them union wages and I give them health and I give them retirement, 401k. I give them, they get it. They're taken care of. I wouldn't mind a union in here. That'd be okay.
Hey, you're sending Dane to New York with me next week.
That's
Come
right.
on.
He's going to come hang out with you, learn how the big guys do it so we can laugh.
I actually think what's going to happen is he's going to come to the set of GMA and he's going to recognize that really everybody's just flying by the seat of their
Nobody
pants.
knows what they're doing. Nobody does.
Yeah, that's
so,
my experience.
according to paidcontent.org, online people watch video on 2.6 different devices a week. Young adults age 18 to 34 watch on 3.3 different devices a week. TV, PC, iPhone, MP3 player. They estimate that by 2015, people will use 4 or 5 different devices each week. So that's
I thought we were simplifying. I thought we were trying to simplify how many
isn't that
devices we have.
interesting? It's one of the things driving what our strategy, which is to get on as many devices as possible, so that you can wake up to your iPhone, but get up and watch it on the TV, then get in the car, and you can watch it everywhere. Mm-hmm. I think that's a sensible strategy. Hulu.
Make content open.
Let's see. So Hulu.com.
So would you pay for
$10? I don't know. No ads, I might. How about you, Shira?
I mean, there's always going to be another way to get it for free, unless the content is high quality enough.
Get ready.
The shows I want to see.
According to Hulu, they're going to increase the ad load at first to 12 ads per 45-minute show. That's 12 ads an hour. Then eventually,
That's not a viewing experience.
Then
Who
eventually,
wants to watch a show with 12 ads?
24 ads in a 45-minute show. I encourage them to do that. Please.
At that point, you should do something totally novel. Watch it on TV.
Yeah, really.
I mean, it's just weird how it all just starts circling back on itself.
But, they're pushing people to TiVo it and watch it on TV and skip the ads.
If you only watch on computer, $10 is nothing.
Right.
I mean, the average cable bill is something like $80 or $90 a month. It's
That's
crazy.
true.
Let's not
I'd like
forget
to find out what that is.
that the competition for all this stuff is stealing. BitTorrent. That you can get it without ads, in high def, downloading it. And that's the competition. That's what they have to face, right?
Well, I still think it's easier to go to my one destination, Hulu, who I trust. It has everything I need, right when I want to see it. I don't have the patience sometimes to even go through BitTorrent.
No, that's what the only thing protecting these guys is that the BitTorrent is still hard to use. Mm-hmm. All right, how about this? YouTube has taken down all the Hitler movies.
Oh, yeah. Can you back me into this story? Because I kind of kept reading the headlines. And by the way, it's YouTube's 5th birthday.
Happy
yesterday.
birthday, YouTube.
Happy birthday.
Well, I actually called them this week because the networks wanted to do something about this. It's the 5th anniversary of the day that the first video was uploaded internally, but it wasn't public.
It
wasn't public until May
okay.
of 2005.
I remember I was doing Call for Help in Toronto, and Amber MacArthur, about 4.5 years ago, said, there's this new site where you can put videos of people getting kicked in the crotch. And I thought, this is stupid. And then we interviewed is it Steve Chen? We interviewed one of the founders early on, before they were bought by Google. And I asked him, and I said, well, how are you going to survive with bandwidth costs and piracy issues? And I think in the back of his head, he was thinking Google. the Google. It's the Google Life Preserver. So one of the ways that YouTube protects itself is they support DMCA takedowns. Mm-hmm. If you request a takedown, you can. So you've all seen these far too many parody rants where they take the clip of the movie The Downfall, which is the end of the Third Reich. And who is the wonderful, is it Bruno Ganz? Who is the wonderful actor who's playing Hitler? So that's a commercial film, and what they do is they take off, they subtitle it, and it's I'm mad about whatever PS3 being
Like no copy and paste on the iPhone. Arr, that's not okay.
So they're taking them down now. So you're not going to see any Hitler parodies unless you
create your own.
I don't know.
Original.
Let me see. Here's one.
Act it out.
There it is. This one's hilarious.
There are several Hitler downfall parodies on YouTube. We were able to watch. Unfortunately, we have no way of knowing how much longer they'll be there. Hitler's looking. By the end of the week, it is possible YouTube will have removed all of the downfall parody videos. Well, I'm sure the one about Michael Jackson's death is still up and available. Then they look at each other.
Mein Führer, Steiner.
It seems that Constantine Film AG has submitted a copyright violation. YouTube had no choice but to take it down. Uh-oh, Hitler's about to lose it. Oh, the slow burn is what I like.
Shaking fingers.
Have taken down the Michael Jackson video.
He's gonna lose it.
Everyone who has submitted a takedown notice to YouTube on behalf of Constantine Films AG, please leave the room now. Anyway, I won't go on. I'll leave this to you.
Let's not give Hitler more attention.
Yeah, really. Jeez.
So these were really popular, but apparently they were also quite offensive to some people. And so
it's also somebody's content.
It is a copyright violation, but also, it hadn't even occurred to me that it would be offensive in this way. I mean,
I know. Is
course,
it because
Hitler's
it's offensive?
always offensive.
Is it because it's offensive, or it's because it's a copyright violation?
I was just reading the headlines all week, thinking, "Oh, good, they've gotten rid of
Yeah, I was sick of them.
Hitler.
I didn't want to see any
I had no
more
idea
of
what
them.
the context was.
I don't want to see. I didn't find it offensive, but I mean, it's a movie.
It was the producers from the film that came and went to YouTube and alerted
Yeah.
YouTube. So I don't think they found it offensive. Obviously,
No,
because
they
created the movie.
They got fed up.
Yeah, they just got fed up with people remixing their content.
Nobody's ever going to be able to see that film again without thinking about Michael Jackson. It's probably not what they had intended. I think we covered all the stories. Anything else anybody wants to talk about? I hear that Natali Del Conte is expecting.
That's not a topic. That's not up for discussion, actually.
Stop
It's
the
just
press.
The way it is.
Stop the press. No, it's so great to see you, Natali. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for bringing Mom. Nice to see you
Thank
again.
you
I
for
hope you
having
enjoyed the
us.
wine. Yeah. Natali Del Conte does many things, but you can find out more about her at her website, natalidelconte.com. You can follow her on Twitter, NATALIDELCONTE.
Yeah, no E.
No E on Twitter because
No
they
E
ran
on
out. You ran out of
Natali.
letters. Oh, no E on Natali.
No E on Natali.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we'll see you on CNET all the time, of course, and on
Yep.
CBS.
Yeah, my daily show is called Loaded, and this week I'm filling in for Tom, who's somewhere in the Mediterranean or something
He's
like
in
that.
Hawaii. He was going to go to IFA, the big cell phone conference.
Oh, I thought he was joking about
No, he
rerouting
was going
to
to
Hawaii.
go to Barcelona.
And he really did reroute
because
to
of the,
Hawaii.
Well, they canceled IFA because of the ash cloud. And so he said, well, the hell with it. We're going to Hawaii.
Oh,
So that's
okay.
where he is right now.
Well, I'll be sitting in the big boy chair then at Buzz Out Loud this week
Awesome.
in San Francisco.
That's great. And, of course, Tom is going to be joining us June 1st.
I am aware of that.
We stole him away.
Yeah.
We stole him away. Shira Lazar is the digital correspondent for CBS, and you can read her stuff at cbsnews.com. Always a pleasure to see you, Shira. Come up and see us sometime.
I know. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, love having you. And, of course, my old friend Becky Worley. Known her since the days of Tech TV, where she was the launch producer for both the Screensavers and Call for Help. And now is at GMA, covering tech for ABC. Thank you for being here, Becky.
Pleasure, Leo.
Appreciate it. You can watch the show. We do it live every Sunday afternoon at 6 p.m. Pacific. I'm sorry, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. That's 2200 UTC at live.twit.tv. We then take the carefully produced video, bleep out all the expletives, and put the audio and video on iTunes and the Zune Marketplace and anywhere you could download a podcast. We also have a channel on Twit at a channel on YouTube at youtube.com/twit. Or find out more about all the places you can get the show at twit.tv. We're glad you were here. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time. Another Twit is in the can.